What's up, everybody? Kafka here, and we have a new build that I wanted to share with you guys. I'm actually having a lot of fun on this build. I am back on the Stormweaver. It is a spark build, but the main damage is actually not spark. Oh my gosh, what are those? Yeah, those are crazy. You don't see them in a build. Elemental Storm? What does that do? Well, we're going to tell you what everything does here. So we are using Spark to generate shock, and we're getting Divine Orbs. We like that. That's a good start to the video, guys. Let's keep it going. All right, so we're using the actual Spark build to generate greater lightning bolts. Also, we are triggering the Elemental Storm. The greater lightning bolts are what's doing a lot of the damage in this build. And you can see them coming out, just flying out. It actually does like the whole map. This is actually pretty funny because you just seen that guy get electrocuted and he was standing still. It's happening over there too. But we are getting damage from our cast on shock, a little bit of damage from spark. We're getting shock magnitude, and then the greater lightning bolt is absolutely terrorizing pretty much everything in our path. This has a boss in it too, so you're gonna be able to see a boss in a second here. But we're also electrocuting. We are using the keto current gloves, and those gloves are actually pumping. The one thing about this build, I will say, it is not as tanky as I would like it to be. And sometimes when you're in really tight areas like that, the sparks just don't fly right. So that happens too. But if you have a lot of mana, say you had dream fragments or something, this build would be nuts. Also, I am using the melting maelstrom flask, which is absolutely fantastic. Oh, we got a breach, so we could probably do that real quick. We'll show you guys a breach. Breach is good too because I have 2% mana on kills, so breach just has a million mobs, so you're always killing stuff in a breach, so it's actually really good. So mana isn't too big of an issue. It's just mobility and survivability isn't where it was at on a lot of my other builds I've made. And sometimes we just want to survive more often, so we make those kind of builds. The reason why we made this build, my brother actually helped me out with some Simulacrum, and we're having trouble completing some of the Simulacrum 5 stages. So he has a monk, I'm using the Stormweaver, and we're able to knock out some Simulacrum together. And he helped me put this build together too, because I played around with Greater Lightning Bolt after the patch, but I didn't make a great build with it. And this build is actually really pumping. Pretty easy to use too. I've used a lot of builds, like you guys probably, if you watch my videos, you've seen the time freeze / tempo change slow. There's a lot more buttons involved. This is the one build that I've played that is literally, you could just hold down spark, and that's all you need to do. So it's a little bit more relaxing than some of the other builds that I've played. That was trying to get me. You see that? No, we ended. Okay. So this is a tough one to do a breach anyways, because it's so narrow and whatnot. So that was a breach. This is a level 80 zone, so you guys know. You do see it's level 80. But we did complete Simulacrum on this build. We did complete pretty much any boss you could do on this build too. It's just you got to be a lot more careful when using it. You got to pay attention to your mana a lot, because we are not using any energy shield or any life, and you want to make sure you have some stun threshold. I actually have some on my chest, because stun threshold is really good because you only have 1 life, and that's based on how much you get stunned. All right, this map is huge. We got to get to the boss, and we'll talk about the build after we get to the boss. All right, here's the mini boss. Let's do him before we get to the real boss. I don't know where he's at. We got to find him. Oh, there he is. That's how fast he died. Did you guys see that? That mini boss was instantly dead. He got stuck. If they get stuck in the elemental storm, GG. It just lowers all the resistance, and they just get one shot. Disintegrated. All right, so we arrived at the boss. We're going to actually throw everything at him. We are going to sacrifice with Soul Offering and get a little damage boost. We're going to use Conductivity, and we're going to drop him. That's how fast this build can just drop these dudes. That's it. And this is like not optimized. This build is not very optimized. I do have some good gear, but I don't have great gear. So let me show you what we got for gear. We're gonna run that through. We'll put a link in the description. I'm putting all my builds in max roll because I want to able to go back to those builds and try them out when the season updates. So and the new league comes out. So we do have a wand. It does have damage. The best thing you could have is lightning damage or spell damage. Mana, you could have, or you want high crit chance on this build as well, because that's how your Jade Amulet, Choir of Storm, procs. So basically, once this procs, it casts a greater lightning bolt from doing a critical hit. So I think my spark critical hit chance is, it's not fantastic, but it happens. And I don't even have lightning rod on it. I have frazzled, so might annoy it. All right, so that's that. The only thing you can get better than intelligence is mana regeneration. That would be better. Anything mana regeneration is really good in this build. You do need 160 spirit. So to do cast on shock and archmage, so you have to either get it from your chest, which I have 55 there. So normally I would need 60, but my helm has 29. So that's the next piece of gear, has rarity on it, critical hit chance again, and then energy shield. Also mana is very good on here. If you need res, get res. This is the Jade Amulet. This triggers a greater lightning bolt. So it's a free cast, so it doesn't actually cost mana when you trigger your greater lightning bolt. So my tooltip does say 73k, but when I sacrifice these and I come back, it's up to 117k, and that's without buffs. When I trigger, it goes up another 40%. So that's why these guys are getting just obliterated when I'm fighting these bosses. And they can get electrocuted. So literally he would be electrocuted for 9 seconds if he did not die, which is crazy. So anyways, all right, so we have the shield. This shield right here, you could get an extra socket on it. It comes with 2, and then you want to socket it with maximum mana. Maximum mana is really important in this build. Again, that's your only way of having health. So this is an okay roll. It's not great. It doesn't have 3 sockets, so it's just mediocre. Much better. It could get much better. My rings are mana. You want to max your res here, and you want mana regeneration too, which I don't have on my second ring, which it would be sick to have a ring with like 70 mana regeneration. It'd be so good. But these rings are pretty good, and they're maxed out my resist. So if you don't have an ingenuity belt, just max your resist, get more resist here on the belt. The Keto's gloves are really good. I mean, if you think you could survive without having to electrocute, I think electrocute's really good, especially for Simulacrum. Why we made this build, because Simulacrum I think is the hardest content in the game. Who here is also having trouble with the Simulacrum? I know I was, so we got a good build and it knocks it out. And now when I do maps that are juiced, I get a lot more mats for Simulacrum. So that's that. The chest, like I said before, you need spirit on the chest, 60 if you don't have it on the helm. You could search on the trade site for helms with spirit on it, so that's good. Regular boots, mana, movement speed, energy shield, and then resist rarity is good too there. This flask, I think it's really important. Honestly, when I go back and play next league and start leveling up, this will be the first thing I am looking for. Literally, this makes every build better. Does more damage for every build, more survivable for every build. This is the best item that I've gotten in the game so far. I think it is such a great item, and I think everyone should work towards getting this because you're going to use it on a lot of your different characters too. We do have, like I said, greater lightning bolt. That is the main skill for damage. Consider casting, lightning pen, spell echo, and then strip away. So also elemental storm, more area effect is good with magnitude effect, control destruction, magnitude of shock. We have font of mana for extra mana and lightning exposure. cast on shock. This is the one you could get some more damage things on. So like concentrated effect, you could get elemental focus, you could get in tempest for more energy and energy retention for more energy. On archmage, I put lightning mastery and clarity, and acceleration is on spark, because realistically I don't try to like get damage on the spark. I didn't focus on that. I just want it to be fast. And I did try arcane tempo, and arcane tempo was just juiced to my mana too much because it's so fast. So I put conduction instead, so it's shocking more, and I feel like that's doing a really good job. Inspiration, persistence, mobility. Mobility is important because, you know, I need to get around the maps faster. Without mobility, you go 30% slower when you're casting. Soul offering is for a damage buff, so you could use these two gems, Dance McCrae and Conductivity, Ritual Curse, Heightened Curse. You don't need Hex Bloom on there. I just had it on there. Curse Ground. Blink is in the offhand with Ingenuity. So I can blink a little. I can be a little bit faster if I need to. Generally, if I'm just trying to get to places around the map. That is probably one of the easiest builds to put together because you don't need a fancy neck. You don't need fancy gloves. Literally, the hardest part to get in this build, if you don't count the Ingenuity, is probably a good wand and then the flask. But I think the flask should be something you should go for anyways because it's good in all builds. I'll do a quick run through of the skill tree so you can see what that looks like. A little bit different here. People don't use it. Elemental Storm, Tempest Caller. Obviously Archmage because it's so good. Arcane Surge too. One affected with 2 shocks. That is very good as well. But we are going for lots of mana regeneration. Like you're going to see mana regeneration is everywhere, which helps out a ton. You're going to see a lot of skill duration. This is nice because skill duration helps me electrify the enemies longer, so I do like that as well. I try to pick up some damage nodes here, and then Touch of Arcane is really good with Archmage. The jewels are basically Magnitude of Shock, increased cast speed, and I need 2 jewels with 2% mana on kill, which makes this a lot easier when you're mapping. We do have pretty much everything in here is good. I would want all these if I had more points. We want more duration of skill effects. Turn the clock forward for projectile speed. We want to get mana back when we are doing triggered effects because both of these count as triggered effects. So Elemental Storm and Greater Lightning Bolt does as well. So that's really good. We go all the way down here and we also get Dynamism, and this is more damage. And then also Expose the Storm and Wildstorm. So comment down below if you've seen a build like this. I don't know if you have. This is the first time I did it. Like literally my brother was like, we need to do Simulacrum and we need better builds. This is what we should do. And we put these two together, his monk and this. And if you do Simulacrum, you should always do it with someone else, because if one person dies, they could join back in after they die on the next wave. So it's very important that you do Simulacrum with another person. Do not do it solo if you think you might fail. If you've done it a bunch of times and you're like, yeah, I'm good, I don't need any help, then you're good. But that's the build. That's it. I like it a lot. I'm having fun with it. We got to try out a couple more things before the next week starts. So stay tuned for some more builds from Kafka, and we will talk to you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.